In ancient times, when Aotearoa, New Zealand, was still wild, when rivers and mountains had no names, a massive creature rose from the deep sea. The Maori called it Taniwha, the spirit of water, of caves, of nature's wrath. According to legend, Taniwha was not just a monster, but the embodiment of sacred power. It had a dragon-like body, scales that gleamed like steel, and fiery red eyes that illuminated the darkness. The Maori told that each Taniwha had a special connection with a tribe, sometimes as a guardian deity, sometimes as a lurking threat. One day at a village along the Waikato River, villagers began to hear roaring echoes from the deep. The water's surface rippled despite the absence of wind. Chief Rahiri declared, "The Taniwha has awakened. We must offer gifts." But the young people, full of confidence and pride, laughed at the warning, considering it mere superstition. They paddled boats to the middle of the river, threw stones into the water, challenging the Taniwha. When the full moon rose high, strange ripples began to swirl beneath their boats. A pair of bright yellow eyes slowly emerged from the depths, and a roar resonated in everyone's mind. The Taniwha had truly returned, and human arrogance had only ignited its fury. The next morning, Waikari village was shrouded in silence. The young people's boats had vanished without a trace, leaving only wooden fragments washed ashore, stained with mysterious blackness. The elders nodded silently, as if they had foreseen this outcome. Chief Rahiri led the villagers to the riverbank, lit sacred fires, and whispered prayers to the Taniwha, hoping to soothe its anger. But the water remained turbid and swirling, with deep, rumbling sounds still echoing from the river. At night, mysterious lights flashed beneath the water like will-o'-the-wisps. Villagers reported seeing the shadow of a gigantic creature gliding across the water's surface, its long body coiling like an enormous silk ribbon, its eyes watching every footstep on the shore. Children were warned to stay away from the water. Pregnant women had to wear protective amulets made from sacred fish bones. Rahiri understood that a trial awaited. He knew that Taniwha wasn't simply a monster. It was demanding respect, demanding balance between humans and nature. In a strange dream, Rahiri saw the Taniwha appear, speaking in a deep, resonating voice. "You must choose. Offer a sacrifice or awaken the final wrath." Rahiri woke up, drenched in sweat, knowing he must prepare for a journey into the deep cave where the Taniwha dwelled. Before sunrise, Rahiri donned a cloak of kiwi feathers, wore a fishbone amulet, and carried a taiaha, stewie, fighting staff, carved with traditional spiral patterns. He stepped into a dugout canoe, paddling along the winding river toward Te Ana, the Taniwha's cave. The water darkened, forest shadows covering it like a mysterious veil. The sounds around faded, leaving only the gentle splash of water against the boat. At the cave entrance, Rahiri saw coal-black stones covered with ancient symbols, like warnings from generations past. A cold draft blew out, carrying a strong fishy smell. He entered, his torch dancing on the damp rock walls, reflecting ancestors' drawings of battles with monsters. Deeper inside, Rahiri heard heavy breathing, the echoing sound of dripping water. Suddenly, a giant eye opened in the darkness, its yellow light illuminating the entire cave. "Why have you come, Rahiri?" a voice echoed. Rahiri knelt down, raising a paunamu, jade stone, saying, "I come to seek mercy, to offer tribute and restore peace." The Taniwha growled softly as if laughing. "A life for a life, or a promise for the lives of your entire village." Rahiri looked deep into its eyes, knowing this choice would determine the fate of the entire river. Rahiri bowed his head deeply, then slowly said, "I cannot offer a human life, for that is the flesh and blood of our ancestors, but I promise to honor you through all generations. Our descendants will speak your name, carve your image on rock walls. Keep this river pure. No one will dare offend you." The cave fell silent, the Taniwha's breathing echoing like wind through mountain crevices. The giant eyes blinked softly, their light softening. "Promises carry weight like stone. If broken, the river will submerge the village." The Taniwha retreated into the darkness, a soft light cast upward, revealing a glistening green stone. Rahiri recognized it as a sacred Punamu jade, symbol of their covenant. He lifted the stone, feeling heat radiating from the earth. from the very heart of the Taniwha. Returning to his boat, Rahiri found the water surprisingly calm, the sky brightening, clouds drifting as if there had never been any anger. But he knew the wrath had never truly disappeared. It was merely sleeping, waiting for the promise to be kept. Upon returning to the village, Rahiri handed the jade to a carver, instructing, "Carve the image of Taniwha by the river, so all generations remember that we live by the mercy of this creature." From that day, Wakari village lived in peace and prosperity. Harvests were abundant. Fish and shrimp filled their nets. Children laughed and played by the riverbank, with no more rumbling from beneath the water. The Taniwha's image was carved into ancient stones, hung before every house. During each rain festival, villagers offered fruits and fresh fish to the river, sending gratitude to the Taniwha. Young people told each other the legend, both fearful and proud. But as time passed, new generations gradually forgot. Some said it was just a story to frighten children. Some cut down trees by the riverbank, littered the water. Rahiri grew old, his hair white with worry as he watched the changing landscape. One night he dreamed of the Taniwha rising, its eyes blazing, and its sad, deep voice. "The promise is fading. I am about to awaken." Rahiri woke knowing disaster would come if he didn't remind the villagers. He beat the drum at midnight, gathered everyone, retold the story from the beginning, but many shook their heads. It's just a legend, not real. Rahiri looked toward the river, saw the water beginning to cloud, silent swirling ripples spreading, and he knew the Taniwha was stirring. The next morning, an unexpected flood swept through Waikari village, washing away wooden bridges, tearing through fields, leaving mud and destruction. Yet strangely, no lives were lost, as if the Taniwha was sending a warning rather than seeking destruction. Rahiri stood by the shore, watching the swirling river, then turned with determined eyes. "We must restore our promise." The villagers fell silent, feeling the power of nature surrounding them. They began cleaning the riverbank, replanting forests, erecting new stone monuments carved with the Taniwha's image, offering gifts of apology. From then on, an annual Taniwha festival was held, where people sang, told stories, and danced to honor the spirit of the waters. The legend of the Taniwha passed through generations, no longer a threat, but a lesson about respect and harmony with nature. Rahiri died peacefully in his sleep, with a serene smile, and people said his soul had transformed into a small Taniwha, swimming alongside the giant creature beneath the river, guarding the balance between humans and nature. When children asked their parents, "Does the Taniwha really exist?" adults smiled, pointing to the sparkling water. If you know how to listen, you will hear it singing somewhere beneath the deep waters.